This is Joe narrating PowerPoint in Social Studies from the unit on Geography and the World. It's Lesson 4, Exploration, Colonialism, and Wars. It's on page 476 in the Kaplan book. New vocabulary is nationalism, imperialism. We talk about World War I, the Allies, including the United States, against the Central Powers. The war ended in 1918 with the Treaty of Versailles, in which Germany was forced to pay reparations for the cost of the war to the Allies. During World War I, the Russian Revolution occurred in 1917. Lenin and the Bolsheviks took over the country, killing the Tsar and having leadership of the country run by the Communist Party. World War II began in 1939. Again, you had the Allies, including the United States, against the Axis powers. During World War II, the Holocaust occurred in Europe, and the atomic bomb was dropped in 1945 on Japan by the United States. After World War II, you had the Cold War, where there was a diplomatic and economic battle fought between the nations that had democracy versus the nations that had communism, and part of this included a buildup of arms, including nuclear weapons. In 1914, the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand and his wife Sophie in Serbia touched off World War I. Those countries that were allied to Austria-Hungary, like Germany, were sent into war against those countries that were allied with Serbia, like Italy, France, and England. There was many feelings of nationalism in Europe at this time. Nationalism is where a group of people wants to start its own nation, or a group of people in one nation get fervent belief in the predominant culture of that nation and want to exclude others. There was also a sense of imperialism. Imperialism is when one country wants to extend its influence into other countries by diplomatic and military means, often taking advantage of the other country in the process. So in 1914, the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand touched off World War I. In red, you see the Allies, England, France, Italy, and the Russians. And in blue, you see the Central Powers, which were Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Turkish or Ottoman Empire. In 1918, the Treaty of Versailles was signed, and Germany was forced to pay reparations to the Allied powers. During World War I, the people of Russia did not want to continue the war and rebelled against the Tsar, who did want to continue the war. Tsar Nicholas and his family were killed in 1917 by the Bolsheviks, who were led by Vladimir Lenin. After the revolution, the Communist Party took over and ruled Russia. This is Vladimir Lenin. You can still visit his tomb in Moscow, where his body is put on display. In 1929, the Great Depression occurred, which caused much unemployment and loss of wealth for many families in the United States and throughout the world. This was very hard, especially on Germany, which was already devastated by World War I. There was a strong sense of nationalism in Germany and a sense of victimhood, and they were ripe for takeover by a leader such as Adolf Hitler, who took control of the country in 1933. He preached a fervent nationalism for the German people. He eventually invaded Poland, which started World War II. in World War II. The Allies fought the Axis powers. On top, you see the flags of the Allied powers, the Soviet Union. At that time, it was just Russia. And United States, United Kingdom, or Britain, and France fought against Germany, Italy, and the Japanese Empire. Just before and during World War II, Hitler had arranged for the roundup and execution of certain populations in Germany, mainly Jews, but also gays, Jehovah's Witnesses, and some disabled people. He put these people in concentration camps, and then he put them in gas chambers where they were rounded up, stripped naked, put in these rooms where poisonous gas would be vented in through the ceiling. It is estimated that 6 million people died in the Holocaust. In 1945, the United States, in order to end the battle with Japan, warned Japan about the bomb, told them to surrender, which they refused to do, and therefore the United States dropped the bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. 3 days later, Japan still refused to surrender, and another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. It is estimated just with these two bombs that 200,000 people were killed, and the two cities were devastated. This is the mushroom cloud that results from an explosion of an atomic bomb. This is the destruction of one of the cities in Japan. Another view of the destruction. After Japan surrendered to the United States, ending World War II, the European countries split along the lines of either communism, shown here in red, or democracy, shown here in blue. Winston Churchill said that there had been an iron curtain drawn across Europe. This is a figurative use of the barrier idea between the communists and the countries with democracies. But there are also actual walls built. For example, this is a wall built between East Berlin and West Berlin. East Berlin was under the control of the communists, and West Berlin was a democratic city. This wall separated families, some living in East Berlin from West Berlin, and it was impossible to cross between the two parts of the city. In 1991, the Soviet Union, which was a congregation of multiple countries under communist rule, broke up, and Russia became its own country again, and these other 14 countries became no longer part of the Soviet Union. The Berlin Wall was also torn down. That's it.